Greetings, welcome, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, supporting you with healing experiences, coaching, and encouragement during your life changes, challenges, and transitions. Thanks for joining me in this episode of Ask the Stones, where I offer answers to your spiritual questions and encouragement for your journey. Greetings, welcome, and thank you for joining me for this episode of Ask the Stones. Let's take a moment and let us prepare to connect and to answer a question with 3 deep cleansing breaths. Thank you. This episode's question is a very short one. Jahmir writes, "How do you know when it is time to leave a relationship?" When you are asking this question, Jahmir, thank you for this question. This is the kind of question that when you ask it, you already have a really good idea of the answer. And so when I say that you know it's time to leave a relationship when you ask when it's time to leave a relationship, is because, Jahmir, you're not asking, how do I know when it's time to stay in a relationship? How do I know when I should stay in a relationship? You're asking instead, how do I know when to leave a relationship? Which suggests to me that you are looking for reasons to leave. You are looking for confirmation of your underlying desire to leave. Oftentimes, we know answers within ourselves. The soul, the heart, is always speaking to us. Oftentimes, though, there is so much clutter in our lives, mental clutter, physical clutter, stuff to do, places to go, that we are challenged to forge out a quiet space for ourselves to get in touch with what our hearts and souls are saying to us. My sense is, Jahmir, that this is what is happening for you at this time. That deep down in your heart, in your soul, you already know when the time is to leave a relationship. You already know that you need or want to be leaving a relationship. And that uncertainty that you're feeling can be stemming from things such as a fear of hurting someone's feelings, which is often other kinds of fear and not just of hurting someone's feelings. You may be fearing rejection for yourself. You may be fearing the outcome. You may be fearing a sense of loss in leaving a relationship. But my sense, Jahmir, is that you already have an idea of leaving this relationship. And you already have an idea of feeling that you want to, but you're just not sure if it's the right time. Maybe I should just hang on a little bit longer. Maybe I should just wait and see. Maybe I should just look for some signs, some additional signs to tell me whether or not I'm making the right decision. Oftentimes when we're faced with a question like this, we're afraid of making the wrong decision. My question for you, Jahmir, is, what else would you need to know? What further information would you need in order to make this decision? What else would you need to know in order to know when is the right time to leave a relationship? The kind of relationship doesn't matter. Jahmir, I don't know what kind of relationship you're referring to. Maybe it's a love relationship. Maybe it's a friendship. Maybe you're wondering if it's time to get rid of your old car that's on its last wheels, and you love your car, but you're just not sure when to let go of your dying old car. I have no idea. It could be any of those things. It could be none of those things. Jahmir, you may not even have a relationship in mind for yourself right now, and you just may be asking in general or asking for a friend. I don't know. But what I do know is that oftentimes we know these things within ourselves, and we're looking for the answer outside of ourselves, when the answer really does lie within ourselves. And we already know the answer. We're just afraid of the answer. We already know what to do. We're just afraid to act on it. You know, Jahmir, like I said, you're not asking, how do I know when to stay in a relationship? And so when you are asking when is the right time to leave, this tells me that your focus right now is on the question of leaving. And if you weren't focused on the question of leaving, then it would suggest to me that you are feeling secure in the relationship. You are feeling fulfilled in the relationship. But the fact that you are asking when is the right time to leave, that suggests to me that thoughts of leaving are what are in your mind. So your mind is full of thoughts of leaving and not of thoughts of staying. And when your mind is full of thoughts of leaving, then it doesn't mean that you are fulfilled in the relationship. Now, can you have questions about things sometimes? And it doesn't mean that you should or want to leave. First of all, I want to try to reduce the use of the word should. There's this great phrase that says, stop shoulding on yourself. Meaning that we use the word should so much. We are always putting pressure on ourselves to do the things that we, quote, should do. when really, what is it that we should do? Well, it's certainly up for debate that there is nothing that we quote unquote should do, but rather a whole host of things that we might want to do. When you look at it from the standpoint of a should, it becomes an obligation. So you can even look at this question as a, when am I obligated to leave a relationship? You can even look at it in that kind of sense if you really deconstruct the word should. So Jahmir, what I want to encourage you to do at this time is to get still and quiet. I believe that you already have a sense of the answers within yourself, and you are looking outside of yourself for confirmation. You're looking outside of yourself for someone to tell you that yes, Jahmir, it's okay to leave. Yes, Jahmir, it doesn't make you a bad person. Yes, Jahmir, perhaps this relationship worked for you, it fulfilled you at one time, and if it no longer does, it's okay. It's okay to let things go. As a matter of fact, letting go is a part of life. That might be hard to hear. It might be painful to hear. Some people might be hearing this and thinking, Christian, tell him to stay. Tell him to work on the relationship. Tell him that he needs to work hard. Tell him that he needs to. He should. He must. But Jahmir, I'm not here to tell you when is the right time to leave a relationship. Only you can know that for yourself. I'm not here to give you a laundry list of, well, if this happens, then you should leave. If this happens, then you should leave. Oh, you know it's time to leave when this happens. Because there is no set list. All I know is that when we look within ourselves, we can get so much more guidance and so much more information on how we feel in our hearts and in our souls than in seeking a list of instances when it's the right time to leave. But when you are asking this question, I believe is a good indicator that the thoughts of leaving are already in your mind. And if the thoughts of leaving are already in your mind, then the chances are good that it would be a right and proper choice, not only for you, but for the person that you are in a relationship with. Whether it's a friend, a loved one, a partner. We all want to be in relationships that are mutually beneficial and fulfilling, that fill both or all parties up. And so if you are staying in a relationship and constantly asking yourself, when should I leave? When should I leave? Should I leave now? Should I leave when this happens? Should I leave when that happens? You can really think of it not only as a disservice to yourself, but also as a disservice to the person that you are in a relationship with. That person deserves someone who isn't asking, when should I leave this relationship? That person deserves to be in a relationship with someone who is looking for all of the reasons to stay and who is excited to stay. Just like you deserve to be in a relationship in which you are excited to stay and in which you are not asking the question, when should I leave? Should I leave? How do I know when it's the right time to leave? This is challenging stuff, Jahmir. This is not easy. I don't have any further information, so I can't comment further. And I can't say, yes, Jahmir, this relationship sounds like it is time for you to let go of. Or to say, yes, Jahmir, I think that this is a beneficial relationship for you. But the truth is, Jahmir, I don't need to know those things because only you can determine for yourself when is the right time. And I know from personal experience that we can often know the answer inside, but be afraid of that answer. I was, years ago, in an abusive relationship, and my partner was abusive towards me. And I knew that it was not a healthy relationship. And I knew that she was not kind to me. But I stayed. I stayed because it was a real challenge to let go. But I knew very early on in that relationship that it was not the kind of relationship I wanted or expected or deserved. And yet I stayed for too long. All the while I knew deep, deep down inside that it was not a healthy relationship and that I needed to get out of it somehow. You know, of course, this brings up the idea of how challenging it can be to leave abusive relationships. And I will say that one thing that it did for me as a man in a heterosexual relationship, it really helped me to gain a sense of compassion and empathy for when we say to people in abusive relationships, what's wrong with her? She just needs to leave. I don't understand why she's still with him. And, you know, she's crazy for staying. Yeah, I used to be one of those people who said that. And then once I had the experience and realized that I was in an abusive relationship, I actually didn't even realize it at first. Although I knew it wasn't healthy. You know, after being in that experience, I can now say I have a deeper understanding of people going through that experience. So all of this to say, Jahmir, that I know from personal experience that it's not easy to leave relationships. Whether friendships, I've also dissolved several of those. That's not easy either. But the answer is to look within yourself. The answer is to seek the answers within yourself. I'm here to help guide you. I'm here to help give you a different perspective and ask questions. But ultimately, my job is to help you uncover the answers within yourself. And so while, Jahmir, I usually get more information with my questions, your single sentence question is all that we need in order to help guide you to listening to that still voice deep inside of yourself. Jahmir, thank you for that. Jahmir, as with everyone, I'm going to draw a card for you, but I am also going to send you some Reiki too. For all those of you listening, if you would like to receive some Reiki, please feel free to close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and if you would not like to receive the Reiki at this time, then that's okay. The Reiki won't come to you. But Jahmir, I'm specifically going to send Reiki to this relationship that you speak of. Well, that I assume you speak of. I don't even know that there actually is a relationship and you're just asking in a hypothetical sense. But I have a sense that there actually is a relationship that you are considering leaving and you're just not sure. So I want to send Reiki to your relationship to help you with determining what is best for you at this time. And remember, Jahmir, that what is best for you is also best for the other person. That may be hard to hear, and that may be hard for some of you listening to hear. But remember, if Jahmir is not fully present in this relationship, if he is not fully invested, and if he is asking himself, when is the right time to leave, then he is not committed to the relationship, and he is considering how to leave the relationship, when to leave the relationship. And instead, the person that he is with also deserves someone who wants to be invested, just like Jahmir deserves to be invested in a relationship. So Jahmir, I'm sending you some Reiki. Thank you. And let us draw a card, and let's see what guidance we might have for you at this time, in this situation. And guidance for anyone who may be asking, when do I leave a relationship? Anyone who may be looking to leave a relationship. This is interesting. I pulled from the Archangel deck, and Archangel Metatron says, prioritize. Focus on your highest priorities. I will help you get organized and motivated. This is good advice. So, Jahmir, at this time, what the angels are saying to you is to prioritize. So, sit down and think about yourself. What are your priorities? Even as they pertain to a relationship. What are my priorities in a relationship? And ask yourself, is this relationship fulfilling those priorities? Does this relationship align with those priorities? That is definitely a way to help you uncover whether or not it's a relationship that aligns with you, that aligns with your soul and your heart. So Jahmir, I recommend that you get clear, gain some clarity on your priorities, tap inside yourself for that. Remember, this is definitely something that no one else can tell you what your priorities are. Only you know that, Jahmir. So, sit down, do some thinking, gain some clarity, write out your priorities, and see how this current relationship matches up with those priorities. This can help you to determine whether or not this is a relationship that you, quote, should leave, or rather even when. Remember, your question is when to leave a relationship. I'm reminded right now of one more phrase, Jahmir. Or I should say a phrase. It's not an additional one. I haven't given you a quote yet. This one comes to mind right now. And there's this great phrase by a Zen master. If not now, when? So Jahmir, if now is not the right time to leave a relationship, then when is? When? If you know a thing in your heart, if you know a truth within your soul, if you do not act on it now, then when? I want to encourage you, Jahmir, to spend some time with yourself, some time alone, some time in quiet. Maybe go for a walk. Maybe do some journaling. Maybe meditate. Set aside the clutter, the distractions. Certainly spend some time away from the relationship. Spend some time in nature. Whatever you need to do in order to get quiet and to access that still voice within yourself. Think of what's important to you. Think of your priorities. And consider how this current relationship, this current experience aligns with those priorities. And that can help you to gain some clarity. And if the answer is yes, this is a relationship that is not currently fulfilling for me, it's no longer fulfilling, then when is the right time to leave? There is no other answer but now. As difficult and as challenging as that is, yes. Thank you, Jahmir, for this question. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss it with you, to offer some perspective, to draw a card for you, to send you some Reiki, and to send you some good wishes at this time. All happens as it should, and although that is often so difficult to really grasp and comprehend and to wrap our brains around, it is true. And so I know, Jahmir, that even if now is not the time for you to leave, that you are building towards that, and that it will happen when it needs to happen. It will happen in its own time. Just like I eventually left my abusive relationship, I left it at the right time. All in divine time. So trust in that, Jahmir. I send you blessings and good wishes, and I send blessings and good wishes and healthy, happy, fulfilling relationships to all who are listening. Thank you, and best wishes for your journey. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Ask the Stones. If you have a question for the Stones, visit standingstoneshealing.com or connect on Facebook at Standing Stones Healing to get support through your life changes, challenges, and transitions. Thank you, and best wishes for your journey.